Hey, this is Kevin Bates, and I'm talking to Craig Clemens today, and he's going to be talking about how to write a killer sales letter. And today's session is session 1, how to discover the hot buttons that have the most influence on your prospects' buying decisions. How are you doing, Craig?
Doing great. Thanks,
right.
Kevin. Good to be
All
here.
right. So, in case you haven't heard of Craig Clemens before, Craig is he really is the copywriting genius behind the success of the Double Your Dating line of products. Any sales letter that you see that has to do with Double Your Dating and also the other businesses that we've started, Evan and Craig have worked on collaboratively. So they'll get together and they'll brainstorm and they'll actually crank out these sales letters together. And Evan, I know, has the highest regard for Craig's copywriting skills, and he calls Craig one of the top copywriters in the world. Craig, how much money do you think the sales letters that you've worked on for Double Your Dating, how much money do you think they've generated over the past, 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years?
Well, I'm happy to say a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'd say mid 8 figures, maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, the business is a $20 million business now. I'm going to say that sales letters have got to have brought in $40 or $50 million easy,
Yeah.
over the past
run.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
basically my message here is definitely listen up. Craig has got the goods on how to write a sales letter that sells, and I'm very happy to be talking to him. I'm stoked that he's going to be sharing with you what he knows about it. And, one other thing before we get started, I just want to set the context here with how important your sales letter is. So we have you get the leads, customers, conversion, and content. Well, the conversion part of that formula is so important because if you have a sales letter that is not converting at a high rate, it doesn't matter how many leads you bring into the funnel, you're not going to be able to turn a profit. But if your sales letter really knocks it out of the park and you've got a really high conversion rate and a high percentage of people are actually buying your product because of your sales letter, then it's amazing what you can do even with a more modest flow of traffic. Would you agree on that, Craig?
Yeah, no doubt. I've seen some businesses where, instead of thousands or tens of thousands of leads, people are sending dozens of leads to a very strong sales letter for high-end product and making a very good living. So it's all about conversion.
That's right. All right, Craig. Well, you take it away, man.
All right. Well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for the nice introduction. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to describe the exact process that Evan and I go through and went through when we were creating these sales letters. I think it's semi-proven by now, and I think it's pretty easy once you break it down into steps. So we're going to start out. Let's get right into it. So one thing that I've discovered just looking at sales letters and marketing materials for the past 5 years or so is that a lot of the average writers will make the mistake of speaking to what they think motivates their prospects, but they're off base. They are talking to things that don't really interest them. And I've found that what separates the greats, so to speak, from the really good, and what separates the best converting sales letters from the ones that just do okay or bomb, is that the ones that really hit a home run are talking to a prospect's strongest and deepest wants, needs, and desires. And really, if you're not doing that, you're doing your customers a disservice because you're not really telling them how much your products and services are going to help them, and you're leaving money on the table for yourself. So there's no reason to do that. It's up to you to let them know what you got. So hopefully this will help show you the way. So the good news. The good news is that the information that'll move your prospects to buy your products and services, I believe, is already inside of you. It's already inside of your head, especially if you've created the product yourself. Now, the process I'm going to show you works a couple different ways. You can use it by yourself if you're the person who created the product that you have to sell, or in a case such as the situation in which Evan and I were working in over the last few years. Evan created these products under the David D'Angelo name, and I would use this process to get the information out of his head, find out what was really going on in there, and since then I've used it several other situations with great success. So let's get right into it. As I said, the problem, let's get that information out of your head. So the solution that Evan and I came up with almost by accident is what I call the persuasion interview. And this is a series of questions that allows you to discover what motivates your prospect to buy. It works in any market, and it really does work with 100% accuracy. And it's systematic. It's done in an interview process, and here's how it works. Step one, what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to get inside of your prospect's head, figure out what really motivates them to buy. Next step is to get inside your head, pull out everything about your product that relates to your prospect's needs, wants, and desires. This is about your content and taking the parts of your content that really going to let your prospect know that it's for them. And then we're going to show you how to put it all together in a sales letter in a way that pushes all their hot buttons most effectively. So, first exercise is what I call the autobiography. I don't think I came up with that name, but anyway. I'll tell you how this came about, Kevin. It was kind of funny. I remember back in my early days, Evan asked me to write a piece of copy to sell. I think it was one of our monthly interviews, and I sent it over to him, and more or less he sent it back saying, "What is this? This sucks." And we got on the phone, we talked, and the problem was that I just wasn't connecting with a prospect. I wasn't in the same place they were, and he had me do this exercise, and since then my copy has improved dramatically, and I think everyone should do it. And here's what it is. The exercise is to write an autobiography as your prospect, as the person you're trying to connect with. Okay? And you're going to want to get detailed. So think about your ideal prospect, think about your average prospect, and think about what their life is like. Think about how old they are, what they do for a living. Are they married, single? Do they have kids? Do they have a girlfriend, a boyfriend? But think as them. Think if you were this prospect, what kind of person are you? How much money do you make? Where do you live? What kind of place do you live in? What kind of car do you drive? Think about all the little details. Paint that vivid picture in your mind. And then think about how you, as your prospect, feel about the area of your life that the product or service you're trying to sell helps them improve. What kind of frustrations are you having with this area of your life? What do you want to change? And most importantly, why? So to give you a little example, maybe if we're talking about the men's dating world, the Double Your Dating products, maybe we guess that our average customer is 38 years old. He just got out of a divorce. He's getting back in the game. He's got 2 kids with his previous wife. He's trying to get over that and get back on his feet. He's frustrated because he doesn't remember what he used to do to attract women and what works now. He's tired of being alone now. He's ready to find someone else to settle down with, and he's having the day-to-day frustrations of seeing attractive women that he likes and not being able to approach them, not knowing what to say. Or maybe he does meet women and he just doesn't know how to take things from the friendship to the relationship level. So what I'd like you to do is take some time on your own and actually do this exercise. Take at least 15 minutes. Get inside the mind of your prospect and become your prospect, and write an autobiography. Write down as much as you can, many little details about your life as possible. And that'll allow you to get into your prospect's head and really from the inside out. It'll help not just this main sales letter, but I think everything you do as far as any sales letter you write, any content you create, you name it. So go ahead and actually pause this program and do that now. and you will get a huge benefit out of it. All right, so hopefully you paused the program and did that autobiography exercise. If you didn't, you just want to run through it fast real quick to hear what I'm about to say, that's fine too. But make sure you do take some time with this stuff, because the more time you put into this exercise right here, the better your sales letter will turn out. And what you'll find out in session 2 of this program tomorrow is that the stuff that we're doing today, these exercises, we're actually kind of writing your sales letter right now. And you'll see how we're going to just take some of this stuff and literally plug it into it in tomorrow's session. So let's get back to it.
Yeah. So Craig, let me just emphasize, definitely if you're listening to this right now and you're sort of tempted to skip over pausing the webinar and actually doing the exercises, let me just encourage you to go ahead and definitely pause it, because like Craig said, it's so important to get inside the head of your prospect, not only for this first sales letter or the next sales letter you're going to write, but every piece of communication, every piece of content, every email you send out, every product you create, every product title you come up with, everything is based on your ability to really connect with a prospect. So definitely go ahead, pause the webinar if you haven't already. Take the time, crank out a quick little autobiography, and then come on back.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. So so let's get to the first question in this interview process, and what it is why did you create this program? Why did you create your products or services for the customer? And go ahead and make a list here. Write down as many reasons as you can. Did you create it because you had the problem and now you want to help other guys or girls fix the same problem? Did you create it because you looked around the market and there was a need for this particular thing, no one was doing it? Think of all the reasons why you created your particular product or service, money aside, and list them out. And we're going to make a few lists here, and I encourage you guys to make them as long as possible. I mean, I think definitely 20, 25 plus is the range you want to get into, because you'll find that the good stuff starts coming out towards the end. The real reasons that really connect with your prospects out there. So go ahead and pause this again and make a list of all the reasons why you created your program, why you are offering the products and services that you have put together. So go ahead and pause and do that now. All right. Next up, question number 2. What are the main benefits your prospect will receive from this program? And here we're going to make another list. And this is where I want you to think about what are they going to get from it? What kind of benefits are they going to have? Are they going to, if you're talking about, if you're selling something in the golf market, it's going to, cut strokes off their game. It's going to improve their putting. It's going to improve their psychological angle that they take on the golf course. It's going to tell them where to line up their shots. And then get into the other benefits too, like, it's going to impress their friends. It's going to make, people look up to them. If you're in the making money market, it's going to allow them to, work less and make more, spend more time with their family, put away money for their children's college funds or retirement. So think of all the benefits your prospect will receive after they get your program, go through it, and use what's in it, and make a huge list here as well. Get 20, 25 plus solid benefits down there that your prospect is going to get out of your program. So go ahead, pause this again, and do that now. All right. Next question. What are your prospect's 3 biggest buttons? Kevin, I found one of the best things to do when you're writing a sales letter is to, try to come up with some of the really core desires and wants and needs that your prospect has, and narrow it down to like 3 big ones that you can keep hitting them with over and over, sometimes subtly and sometimes just getting straight to the point. And as the folks at home may or may not know out there, we have another business called Catch Him and Keep Him, which deals with the women's dating and relationship market. We help women learn how to find, meet, and keep the man of their dreams. And I think it's there's some good examples in there, in that marketing that will help along figuring this out. We were going through that, trying to figure out biggest buttons in that market. We came up with some really powerful ones, and the first one is loneliness. Women and men for that matter too, but especially in this market, women don't want to be alone. And we actually got down, to the little, to be more specific. And I always think when I'm writing a letter to this market, as bad as it sounds, I always want to hint that they might die alone. I think that's every human's fear, and especially the women that we're talking to. So, that was button number one.
Yeah, I think the lesson there is, don't be afraid to bring out the big guns, and to point out the real painful reality down the road that could possibly happen if your prospect doesn't get this area of his or her life handled. And the fact is, when it comes to relationships, people do have the fear of dying alone or getting to old age and being completely alone, and that really is a reality for a lot of people. So I think the lesson there is don't shy away from really pointing out the painful future consequences. And it's for the prospect's own good. It's to help motivate them to get the information they need to really improve their life. It's not about simply trying to separate them from their money, because if you're in this program, we definitely assume that you're in it. Of course, you're in it to create a profitable business and get financial freedom for yourself. But in the process of doing that, I'm sure you're also here to genuinely help people and to add value, which Eben talks about so much.
Yeah,
Sorry, Craig, just had to jump in there.
No, I appreciate it. And I love that, the thought of thinking of these as your big guns,
That's right.
It's a good analogy of thinking, what's really going to knock it out the park and, open your prospects' eyes and get them paying attention, this is what we're trying to do here. So, think about those things that influence your prospect the most. They're just going to kind of shake and rattle them. And write a few down, and then try to narrow it down to your three biggest ones. So to give you some more examples in this market, another big button for women is, that their guy might cheat on them. And then another one that, we all know drives all women crazy is when a man is afraid to commit. And, another one is when he becomes distant or just emotionally withdraws, and she doesn't know why. And sometimes the man doesn't even know why either. So come up with a list of that in your market. Think of the things that are really going to shake and rattle your prospect. And these might be things that your prospect isn't even okay with admitting to themselves. But, it's in there. And see if you can come up with three kind of, let's say big guns that you can keep firing all throughout your sales and marketing materials, things that you're going to keep hitting at. So take some time, pause this webinar, and do that now. All right, so next up, question number 4 that you're going to ask yourself is, what are your prospects' fears around this area of their life? And, we're going to talk about things like we did in their big buttons, the big guns, like, dying alone and, having their man leave them for another woman. But here we're not necessarily looking for only the most powerful, most rattling fears. We're going to, list some other ones as well, as many as we can think of. So go ahead and try to come up with 20, 25 of your prospects' fears in this area of their life, the area that your product is addressing, and make a big, long list now. So go ahead and pause the program and do it. All right, so next up, question number 5. What are your prospects' biggest frustrations? And this differs from fears. Here we're going to talk about the little day-to-day stuff. Here we're going to talk about, maybe a woman's frustrated because she'll see an attractive man when she's out shopping and he doesn't come up and approach her, doesn't even look in her direction. Or, maybe she goes on a date with a guy and he doesn't call her back the next day. Or, maybe she's already in a relationship and she's frustrated because her guy never brings her flowers or never seems to want to do anything romantic. Or, maybe she's frustrated with him because, he always does look at other women when they're out of town, or doesn't seem to want to listen to her when she gets home after a long day. So here's when you write down that day-to-day stuff. Come up with some of those day-to-day things that, aren't necessarily, leaving your prospect up at night, unable to sleep, but are kind of, jarring them a little bit here and there on a day-to-day basis. The little frustrations here and there that just kind of chip away. Make a long list of these. Come up with 20, 25 of these as well. And, you'll find this is great stuff to put in a sales letter. So go ahead, pause the program again, and do that now. And next up, question number 6. What will your prospect gain after going through your program or acquiring your products and services? And this is where you want to talk about, what they're going to have when they're done. Are they going to have some new knowledge around, what a man is thinking and or doing when, he's out with a woman? Or, are they going to gain some skills or techniques that'll help them meet a man, find a man, attract them? Think about your market and what you are selling and what kind of things that your prospect is going to learn, what kind of results they're going to have, what they're going to achieve, what they're going to know, the types of new knowledge, skills, and, life benefits as well. So, think about that type of stuff. Make a big, long list again, and go ahead and pause it and write those down now. All right, question number 7. What is your proof? Why should your prospect listen to you? This is a very, very important session. This is what, convinces your prospect that they need to invest in your products and services, and I think it's the part that convinces them the most. So this is where you're going to put down things like, if you, let's say you're in the medical field and you have a medical degree, this is where you're going to mention that, if you won any awards or things like that. If you're in the dating field and, you have a hot girlfriend or a, great husband, you want to mention them there. This is also where if you have a story or something like that, maybe your proof, maybe they should listen to you because you figured this out for yourself. Let's say internet marketing world, maybe you jumped on a computer and, didn't know how to build a website and couldn't even use blogger.com to put up your own blog. And, here you are 2 years later with a multi-million-dollar internet business and you still can't build a website. That's good proof. Even a dummy can do it. So think about things like that. Think about why your prospect should listen to you. Why should they buy from you instead of everyone else? And make a big, long list. This section is super, super important. Come up with as many things as you can, as many reasons why, so to speak, and list them now. So go ahead and pause the program and crank those out. All right, question number 8. Who is this program for? Who doesn't need it? Make 2 separate lists here. So this is a section that, we're actually going to kind of put word for word in a sales letter. We'll talk a little bit more about that in tomorrow's training session. But what we're going to talk about is, the people that absolutely must have your product or your services and the people that don't need it at all. So, it's pretty easy to come up with who does need it. If you're in the marketing world, anyone who's not making money online, or anyone who wants to, or anyone who wants to create some financial freedom for themselves, or anyone who wants to enter a competitive market but wants an edge. Come up with a big list of who does need it. That should be really easy to figure out. I'm sure a lot of people need your product. I'm sure even experts in the market could benefit from your product, right? So if that's true, put it in the does need it list. Now, in the doesn't need it list, here's where you want to kind of get a little tricky, because we all know that anyone out there could benefit from your product and services, right? But here's where I want you to think of a couple extreme examples. So let's use an example from the men's dating market. If I was going to use this section in a double your dating sales letter, I'd say who doesn't need it? Well, if your last name is Pitt, you're a famous movie star, and you have women throwing themselves at you on a regular basis, and not just for your looks and money, but also your personality, then you definitely don't need this program. Or, if you've never had a problem with women in your whole life, you dated the homecoming queen, and while you're reading this right now, your phone is ringing off the hook, with dates for, with attractive women that wanting dates with you, then you don't need this program. If you're talking about the golf market, for example, if the pro at the local country club is coming up to you and asking you for golf lessons, then you're probably good to go. If you're making your living playing golf right now on the PGA Tour, you probably won't benefit from this program, right? So I think it's pretty easy to see how this will translate into a sales letter section later, and a good one at that. You're going to talk about, I usually start off talking about who doesn't need it, and then we'll make that list of the people who do. And I'll give you guys some great examples of that in tomorrow's training. But for right now, just make the list. Come up with, all the different types of people and different types of situations they would be in that would justify needing your product or services. And then come up with some, people who don't need it, and, be funny, exaggerate a little bit, while you're coming up with those. Just come up with a couple, 2 or 3 examples of who doesn't need your product out there. So go ahead, pause this, and do that now. All right, question number 9. What tasty information can we give away? All right, this is where you want to think of some content that you could actually give your prospect, for free. And as Eben talks about when he talks about moving the free line, this is exactly that. What are some tips or techniques or ideas or insights in your market that you could just give away to let your prospect know that you know what you're talking about and you can help them? And, I've found that the 2 easiest things to come up with here are lists of tips or lists of mistakes that your prospect might be making. So I might say something like, the 5 ways to grab a man's attention right when you first meet him, and then list, 5 things that will get a man, attracted to a woman in the first 5 minutes. Or the opposite thing to give away would be, 5 mistakes women make when in the first 5 minutes of meeting a man that make him not want to get to know her better. And you can translate this to any market, any style. So, if we're talking about internet marketing, here's where you'd come up with, 5 things you can do to increase your website's conversion right away. And the opposite would be, 5 mistakes even experienced internet marketers make that cause their businesses to fail, things like that. So, think about what would be best in your market. Do you have some good, some good mistakes that a lot of prospects are making, and not obvious ones? Think of some unique information that's going to open their eyes. Or do you have 5 tips in your market that someone could go out and use right now? Like, if you're in the golf market, maybe you've got 5 things that someone could go right as soon as they're done reading it, go out to the golf course and use these 5 tips to improve their game instantly. That's the type of thing you're looking for. Here's where you want to come up with some things that are going to give your prospect instant results just from implementing what you say. So I think the magic number is, 3 to 7 here, mistakes or tips. And some sales letters I'll give both. I'll say, here's 5 mistakes that women make with men when they first meet them, and here's 5 things to do instead. And what you're doing here is you're showing your prospect that you know what you're talking about. You're giving value, which makes them want to read more of what you have to say to learn. And, just captivating them and making for a much more powerful sales message. So think about it for a minute. Think about what types of things you know about your market and what, things you can maybe even yank from one of your products and give away in your sales letter. And, pause the program. Think about some of that stuff now.
Hey, Craig, can I add one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Cool. I want to add 2 things. Number 1 is don't be afraid to give away some of your very best, most actionable content. A lot of entrepreneurs, internet marketers are afraid that if they give away their best stuff, well, then they're not going to have anything left to give. But the fact is, when you give away some of your very best content, what the prospect is thinking is they're thinking, oh my God, if he's giving away this for free, I can only imagine what he's going to be including in the products that I actually pay money for. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, I forgot my train of thought.
Hey, well, that's okay. That first thing you said is just so powerful. You know, that's really what we're trying to do here. It's just an interesting psychological concept. And, I think this is more important these days, Kevin, than it ever was before, because these days people see so many advertisements. I went to a program given by Gary Bencivenga, who's arguably the greatest copywriter of all time. And, he said people are so bombarded with advertisements these days that you have to make your advertisements valuable or people won't even read them at all.
Right.
You've got to give away some good stuff in here.
Yep. And also, I remember now what I was going to say is, the tips you're giving away, they need to be different than the tips that the prospect can find, all over the internet. So you got to think of something unique, a different angle that other people aren't talking about, perhaps some sort of counterintuitive example. Like if you're talking about mistakes, maybe one mistake would be, maybe the mistake of trying too hard. So maybe the prospect, is trying really hard to fix something, and now you're telling him, well, it's actually a mistake to try too hard. And then the prospect, it kind of it rattles them up a little bit because it's something completely counterintuitive to what they have been thinking, and it begins to position you as an expert in their mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, counterintuitive. When you can, talk about something that's counterintuitive, it's really powerful. And I actually found a great example in the credit repair market. And this was news to me. I just found this out, and it might be news to you too, Kevin. But did you know that if you have late payments in your credit report from 2 or 3 years back, and you go and pay them off, it'll actually make your credit worse?
Really?
Yeah. The reason why is because it brings that back up to the top. Like, let's say it's from 2005, and you pay it up, it shows off as a charge or a paid debt, but it shows up as 2008, and it'll keep it on your credit for 3 years longer than it would have if it had just fallen off.
Right.
So yeah, I was actually I just found that out, and that kind of blew my mind, and it just hit me. I was like, wow, that's one of those great things that just you would not think about at all. And those are the type of tips that if you got some tips like that in your market that you can give away, that's the type of stuff that really opens people's eyes and makes them want to hear more.
Yep. Great example.
Yeah, great point. All right, so next up, question number 10, why won't people buy? What objections will they have? And, here again, we want to make a really long list. Talk about the obvious stuff like the price, like they can't afford it, and then talk about things like, they don't think the program is going to work. They think the program works, but that won't work for them. Maybe they've got some kind of, crutch or something that's holding them personally back, so they think, oh, this might work for dating market's a good example. They might be seeing their W dating book and think, oh, this book will work for a guy who's 6 feet tall, but I'm only 5'8", so it's not going to work for me. Things like that. So come up with some of those objections, and then even the more general, scaled back things like they're not going to buy it on the internet because they're afraid that you're going to steal their credit card number and ring up a lot of 900 number phone calls with it or something like that, or they just don't feel comfortable buying that way. Maybe they won't buy because maybe you're selling an ebook and they don't know what an ebook is, so that's the reason they wouldn't buy. Or maybe in our case, we're selling dating advice products. I'm sure, even though we talk about discreet packaging, I'm sure a lot of people don't buy the products because they don't know how discreet it's going to be, and they're worried that, their mom or girlfriend or, roommate will find that stuff and, make fun of them or ask a lot of questions. So, write down all the objections that you can come up with, market-specific or not, as to why people won't buy or take advantage of your products and services, and make a big, long list here. So pause the program and do that now. All right, question 11. What is the dream? This is where you're going to get a little autobiographical again and think about what your prospect's dream is around this area of their life. And here you want to get irrational. So, if we're talking about, let's say, the men's dating advice market, the irrational dream would be, live like Hugh Hefner, have 6 blonde girlfriends, and, have them, paying rent to live in your mansion, and, fighting for turns to spend the night with you, I guess. Another funny analogy that I heard John Carlton mention in one of his presentations is that the guy's dream is not to buy a course that teaches how to meet women and go out and practice the techniques and finally land a great girlfriend. Now, his dream is to take a pill before he goes to sleep at night and wake up next to a hot blonde. That's really what they're thinking. And if we're talking about the internet marketing world, the dream would be to spend the next few hours putting up a website that figures out something no one else has found and makes you money in the background for years. Puts you on the front cover of Fortune magazine and allows you to retire for the rest of your life and don't have to ever again lift a finger, something like that. So think irrational to start, and then scale down a little bit and think a little bit more realistic, and think about what a realistic dream would be for your prospect. So let's say men's dating advice market. Maybe a realistic dream would be the guy meets a woman that is much hotter than he's used to being able to attract. Because of this, what he learned, she ends up liking him for him and becomes his girlfriend, and she's awesome. A little more rational, a little more realistic. So think of both sides of it. Maybe more realistic in the internet marketing world is that you create an ebook or some products and services, you put them online, and 3 months later you're receiving a check for $10,000 every month, and you've got your customer service and everything outsourced, and your ebook is just selling itself. A couple months after that, you put together your back end product, and triples your business. You're doing making 30, 40, 50 grand a month in sales. It's still automated, and it gives you more time to spend with your family and do what you want to do and have the income to enjoy it. So think of both sides of the dream, but think about what is the dream for your prospect, and get in their side of their head again. Write that down. All right, so question number 12, what is the nightmare? And here we're going to think back to those fears again that we were writing about earlier, and we're going to think about the opposite. And here we're going to get rational and we're going to get irrational again. So, we just talked about the credit repair market. I think that's a pretty interesting one where you can get both levels. Maybe a rational nightmare for a person with bad credit is that their credit stays bad. They're never able to buy a home. They're never able to get a car without a cosigner. They keep getting calls from collection agents and things like that, and they just don't ever feel good about that area of their life. And that happens. It's a reality for a lot of people. Gone through it to some extent to myself in the past, so I know how it is. Now the nightmare, the real irrational nightmare in someone in this market would be that maybe they get a knock on the door from the IRS one day, and they pull them off to jail for having all these outstanding debts and fines they haven't paid. And they say that it's stealing. And while they're in jail, their wife and family leaves them and stops communicating with them because they think deadbeat dad who couldn't get his stuff together, and lose their home and all that stuff. So get irrational on both sides. In the dating market, I think that the biggest nightmare actually this one isn't too irrational, but it's something you want to hit upon is die alone. For men, it's like you'll never be able to attract a woman without giving your credit card number. Think about all that stuff and write down what the ultimate nightmare would be for your prospects, both and then take it to the next level and think about how crazy it really could get in a worst case scenario, and have some fun with it. So that's it for this session, Kevin. Right now, if you've been pausing and doing all the exercises, you should have pages and pages of jarble that doesn't look like much now, but in tomorrow's training session, we're going to show you how to go through and take all that stuff and put it together in a way that convinces your prospect to take advantage of your products and services. And what I think the real beauty of this is while we're doing that, and when we do that tomorrow, you're going to find out that probably more than half of your sales letter is already written for you just by taking some of this stuff that we just came up with and plugging it into the right places. So I guess that's that. Kevin, anything else to add?
No, I just want to encourage you that if you skimped a little bit on any of those exercises, or if you have some time right now while it's fresh in your brain, this is a great time to maybe right after this webinar right now, spend the next 20 or 30 minutes filling in some of those answers, filling them out, expanding on them, really doing the work, because in the next session, session 2, you're going to be taking that information and all those answers, and you're really going to be making a huge amount of progress in actually writing your sales letter.
Yeah, I guess I'd ask everyone out there listening to trust me on this, because you will get a lot more out of the next session if you go ahead and do these exercises beforehand. And if you don't do the exercises beforehand, I don't know if session number 2 is going to do that much for you, because we're going to be using everything that you came up with and putting it all together. So do it. Do the exercises.
All right. Thanks so much, Craig.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.